There's, I think that there could be a lot bigger effort towards focusing more positive activities for kids. There's too many things like, okay, we can go and they can splash in the bay, or they can go swimming, and there's hiking, and all those outdoor activities are great fun and they're good times. But it doesn't seem like there are the programs, like the Boys and Girls Club is a great example of a good thing going on, where they do teach some civic pride and involvement and giving back to the community and helping other people out. But we're lacking other alternatives for programs to get kids involved that can let them be the change. I mean, if we can't get it ingrained in our children, it's a very short amount of time before they're adults, and they're going to be the ones that are dealing with these things and facing it. But right now, in the last few generations, and I know every generation says this, but the kids are getting farther away from things like respect and knowing that they've got a job within the community outside of just playtime, that there is things that are expected of them in a certain way to act, and certain talents and gifts that they have that they can give back to assist other people. I would love to see more children getting involved with the elderly specifically. I think we're wasting a huge resource by putting them into homes and locking them away and coming and visiting them on Mother's Day and Easter. And, you know, we're not exposing our children to all the old stories and just how much the world has changed since I was a kid back in the 70s. You know, having my daughter here, I see these things daily, just how much different it is. And it's a struggle every day. You almost get ridiculed for trying to raise your children traditionally anymore.
I just think on the heels of what you just said, I think the whole saying of Bellingham being the city of subdued excitement, even though we all say that tongue-in-cheek and we've known that phrase for a long time, it hasn't really done us any favors, has it? I mean, maybe we should come up with a new motto for the town. You know, the city of subdued excitement. You could say Bellingham is the city of apathy. Subdued excitement can turn into apathy. So maybe that's what we're talking about, too, throughout all of these issues. City of subdued excitement doesn't really make you want to go out and care, you know?
Is that there's just a lot of energy inside of us that maybe isn't being expressed as flamboyantly as it might be in New York City or even Seattle, and we're not all running around going, ah, we're here. But there's something that's more connected with an inner joy and inner peace. I feel that in Bellingham. I really feel peaceful here. I travel a lot, and when I come home to Bellingham, I mean, I'm okay with the subdued excitement part because there's so much else, so much to be excited about in nature and in the people. I don't know. That's just a thought.
I guess for me, I've never been a fan of this phrase, the city of subdued excitement. It makes me kind of vomit in my mouth a little bit. I feel like it's a way to allow ourselves to justify inaction, and a way for us to justify our apathy, our denial that we could be doing more, that we have all of this potential, but let's just not quite reach it.
Well, I think one of the things, going back to your statement about how subdued excitement kind of justifies our apathy, I think one of the best examples of this is I have a lot of friends who are performers in the community, and I see the work that they put into their craft, which a lot of them, this is what they do for a living, to put money on the table. And you go there knowing what they've been through to get this performance underway and to put it out there for people, and it's just, their soul is in this work. And you see an audience in this town, and they're just like, oh, and they're very reserved. And you know, that reservation has a place, and there are places where it's not acceptable. And I think when we talk about our artists not getting enough attention, not getting enough credit, that's one of the best places that it's reflected, this subdued excitement that, honestly, I think it's kind of a plague.
The fact that Bellingham is losing a lot of its talent. We have amazing artists in our community that just simply can't make a living anymore, and they move on to other communities. They take their art with them because they just can't get paid. We have plenty of venues here, a lot of talent, a lot of local talent, but they can't get paid. They can't make a living with their art, and sooner or later they're going to start moving away also because, bills and families come first. And potentially, Bellingham might lose that cultural spot that we have in our state, and I would say actually in the country. For the size of our community, we have such a development going on in the cultural aspect. However, our talents are leaving Bellingham. They got bills to pay.
I think we need more pride in our community. It was mentioned before. I believe that pride is a big deal, and the respecting in the community and respecting the community, and more people being proud of the artists in the community would help that.
I mean, at least from being here, it seems like, I mean, there's problems everywhere, but and I don't want to lump myself into this category, but there is a lot of like talent and artists in this town, and I don't remember where I read it, but there was something like, per capita, this is one of the most heavily populated artists, in the nation even, and it's just sad because a lot of people don't have the luxury to go see music or anything, but then towards the performer or the artist or anyone else, they almost have to give their art away for free, or, for example, we had a free show and yeah, there were people there, but we only made a couple $100 as an 8-piece band. So there's like part of the community that wants this free all access, into the community, into the limelight, into the music and arts and stuff, but then there's also the artist, who of course has always been historically suffering, but it's like, I don't know, there's this big divide in this town, I feel, where people want to create and they want to do as much as they can, and there's also the people who want it for free and they want it to just, almost exploit it. I mean, I don't want to go back to the subdued excitement thing, but maybe that's why artists are leaving. I know a lot of my mentors, mostly music mentors, are completely out of this town. And it's a lot because you charge anything more than a $3 or $5 cover, and people protest the venue and your music, even though it may be worth that. And so, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of artists, and it goes back to that respecting, and it goes back to being able to embrace these people and being able to support them, because in turn they'll hopefully support you.
I think what we're talking about bringing up this sort of problem that we're seeing of lack of support of the arts. And in it comes the reality that we have so many artists. It's exciting to me, in a subdued sort of way, that that we have a solution right here, because art is definitely a solution for so many of our issues, problems. Now, you're saying people can only bring $3 or $5. What if they said, but I'll bring a trade, a barter, I'll bring some talent or gift or thing I have, food, to share and exchange. I can't pay for your concert, but I sure do have more of this I'll bring and share. So then all of a sudden, the artist is being piled up with all these wonderful things that they need, and then we feel excited again.
I just, there are so many different kinds of issues, and one thing to be aware of in this county, I think, is the diverse and discrete population segments. And I'm thinking that, as someone mentioned, it is a college town. On the other hand, you have, this is the only city in the county, which I think is a significant point. So that anyone there are other small towns which have their own distinct identity, but I think that anyone that Bellingham becomes a focal point for Whatcom County. Whatcom County is a farming, a rural county largely, with a lot of farming, berry production and that kind of thing. We have a significant population of migrant farm workers who come through. We have a large Native American population is mostly confined to a couple of reservations, but they're part of the greater, all of them have a significant impact on the city, or participation, I guess I would say, in the city of Bellingham, because it is the only city, because it is the focal point in a lot of ways. And then we have, I think, a real diverse population in the political points of view on lifestyles and that kind of thing. And I would like to see, and it's just something it's just something to think about. I mean, a lot of people have ideas about ways to better our community. A lot of people have very, very divergent ideas, like that sort of thing. I think in my, where I am in my life right now, I'm pretty comfortable, so I'm not real, I haven't got a real cause to push at this point, but there are a lot of things to look at, so. So I find this very interesting. It's nice to sit in, so.
The thing that most attracted me to coming tonight is the phrase, I have to be the change. And I think we are in a very important moment worldwide, because we have to look at each other and really, from the heart, say, I value each and every human being equally. I have to have self-love. I have to have a commitment to be a person who is willing to share and care. I have to change change a society that values money, profit, success. In other words, we're living very materialistically and have been for a very long time. And if we stop and examine who we really are as human beings, it's life itself that is most valuable. And if there's one person suffering, that person has to have our help. We have to be available with true love in our hearts, as corny as that may sound. But unless I love myself and believe in my potential as a human being, I can't see you in the light. How I see myself is how I see you. So what I feel is it's a time where we each have to commit to evolving our consciousness to a level that we haven't seen in the world. I mean, if I say we have to love, people will say, it's human nature to be violent. Well, we're teaching violence to our children. We're teaching violence to each other. I don't believe that the best of us in us will have anything to do with violence or hurting another human being. We have to really agree that we have an amazing potential as human beings. And when we release ourselves from dichotomy and putting down anyone, we'll be free to create and material, I don't want to use that word, make possible a society that hasn't lived on the planet Earth before. I mean, we're miracles, and when we forget it, we forget our real potential. And I heard 2 mayors and a member of city council at the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration that we had, and they said, they said, our beloved Bellingham. And that really struck me. I mean, if we can really create a community that its high point is that it's based on love, and we've mobilized to care and share, we can be a beacon of light to the rest of the country. We must say, are we materialistic or are we spiritual beings with the potential to materialize the miracle that we are? And I have great hope for us, but it takes commitment. I have to change, and when I look at you, I have to see my reflection in your eyes. And when you look at me, you say, I'm witnessing your light and your potential as a human being.